Everybody on? Good.
Great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. Headbands flashing on repeat. The 80s and 90s just can't be beat. So rhymes and question charts. Let's blast and take decks in our cars. 80s dreams and 90s haze. Let's recall back to our favorite days.
What's up? Welcome. You are listening to Totally 80s and 90s Recall. If you're new to the show, grab your backstage pass and step into the ultimate nostalgic experience as we dive into the iconic music, blockbuster movies, and pop culture moments from the greatest decades ever, the 80s and 90s. I am one of your hosts, David, and joining me in the studio, as always, my time-traveling co-host and beatbox expert, it's my good friend, Rob.
I like a good beatbox. Hey, today's message goes out to all of our fellow podcasters who are struggling to handle the unexpected fame and attention that come along with being a podcasting celebrity.
It's tough.
It's the life. Today's intro is, how do you say my recital? And I think it's very vital to produce a podcast that is right and on time. Now, with that being said, I think it's important to let the listeners know that podcasting is not as easy as some may think. A podcaster friend of ours once shared that he met a little girly. And for some reason, I'm not entirely sure if he made it a point to share that her hair was kind of curly. Anyway, he went to her house, tried to bust her out. Bust her out in this context is a slang term that means they were going to have sex.
Yeah, okay.
But sadly, he had to leave real early. He went on to say, Rob, these girls are real sleazy. All they say is please me or spend time and rock a rhyme. He said to me, you know what I told her? And I said, no. And he said, I told her it's not that easy. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to explain that in the podcasting world, the term rhyme, for example, I make a rhyme, is the equivalent of recording content for a podcast. It's an industry thing, but I don't want to bore you with the details. Anyway, one of our podcasting friends from the East Coast shared that in New York, the people talk and try to make them rhyme. They said they really hawk, but we just walk because we just don't have any time. He went on to share that in the city, it's a pity because they just can't hide. And I suggested that he should get his window tinted to reduce the chances of him being seen. He laughed and said, Rob, tinted windows don't mean anything. They know who's inside. Yet another podcasting colleague shared that when they wake up, people take up mostly all of their time. He shared, I'm not singing. The phone just keeps ringing, all because I made up a rhyme. He was quick to add, Rob, I'm not bragging, but these people keep nagging because they think I'm a star. They are always tearing what I'm wearing. Now, personally, I think they've taken it too far. It probably goes without saying that the podcasting world is not without relationship drama. Just the other day, I was conversing over the old interweb with some of our longtime podcasting compatriots, Daryl, D, and J. They were explaining how a girl named Carol was following Daryl every gig that they played. Then D dissed her and dismissed her. And now she's jocking J. I just know how, Daryl added, Rob, I ain't lying. These girls will literally cry because I'm on TV. They even bother my poor father because he's down with me. Yeah. Now, I think I speak for the entire podcasting community when I say we are not thugs, except for the Pop Culture Yearbook team. We do not use drugs, except for those guys over at the Smoking Sounds. But you assume on your own. Sure, they may offer coke and lots of dope. After all, it's the lifestyle. But Dave and I just leave it alone. The same cannot be said for those unsavory characters over the Children of the 80s podcasts. Now, if you walk away from today's episode hearing nothing, at least hear this. Dave and I know it is tricky. We know it is tricky to rock a rhyme. But we especially want you to know that we know just how tricky it can be to rock a rhyme that is right and on time. But most of all, it is like that, y'all. But the podcasting community, don't quit. You keep on because this is it.
Very relevant to today's
There you go.
topic. You're going to tie that right in.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that comes back around.
Oh, it'll come around.
We'll see.
It'll come around.
You think so?
It might come around.
All right. Maybe. Depending on what our background research was today.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it feels like you
We'll
gave
see
that
if I
away.
follow the
This
rules.
is supposed to be surprising, but it feels like maybe you're giving a sneak peek
I don't know.
behind the curtain.
Maybe not.
He's
Maybe
the great and wonderful
Maybe
Oz,
I'm
folks.
using a little sleight of hand.
Oh, you're like Penn and Teller.
I'm like, look over here.
Okay.
Oh,
then
Surprise.
look
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So, well, sad news to report.
Oh.
Actual sad news.
Huh.
Not sad news like V8 still isn't sponsoring us.
No, but
in
now-
fact, Rob has given up on
No,
V8
now I've moved on to Canada Dry.
ginger ale.
Yes. Caffeine-free ginger ale. Yes.
He doesn't want to be up all night.
No, 103 calories. Oh, too many ingredients to list.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's not
Anyway,
miss those.
sorry.
I assume watercress aren't involved
No, it's not.
in
It's
ginger
lots
ale.
but they've been around since 1904.
Correct. Non-controversial take. Ginger ale's terrible.
I'm not really sure what it is. It's like a 7-Up, but not.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like anything. Most ginger things don't really
I don't know.
tickle my fancy, I would
I
say.
don't know.
So
Oh, did you know
anyway,
it's owned by Dr. Pepper and 7-Up?
that sounds about right.
Anyway.
They all own everything. So, but actual sad news.
Oh, yeah.
As of the recording of this, now it'll be when this debuts. It'll have been several days. But
Do I know about this sad news?
legendary actor Gene Hackman
Oh, that
passed
is
away
sad.
today.
yes,
So,
I did hear that.
I would say pretty big deal in our lifetimes.
Big deal.
Lots of you could point to a lot of really big movies
Yeah.
that you and I enjoy quite
Hoosiers.
a bit. That he's in Hoosiers.
It's like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crimson Tide, I love a lot.
Crimson Tide.
The Birdcage, he's really funny.
He is funny. in
Really
that.
funny in that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Enemy of the State, he was really
Unforgiven.
good. Unforgiven, he's amazing.
oh, he's great in that.
So I mean, you could just
Well,
you can go down and he's done tons. He's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
so
He's
sad news.
95. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Anyway,
So he lived a long, good life.
he did. He did.
So, but he will be missed. He had retired like 20 years ago.
Yeah, he got out of
like
the
when he was
limelight.
74 or something, he retired. So he's been gone a long time from movies.
Mhm.
But he has some iconic movies. The Firm, also, by the way,
Firm was
that's just going to kind of live in legend for
Superman.
a long time. Superman, Lex
Yeah.
Luthor.
He was good. He was good back.
Yeah, he's doing it. He was
Mhm.
doing it back then. So, well, R.I.P. to
Yeah.
Gene Hackman. And don't mean to start us out on the sour note. So let's get uplifted again
Yeah, that's good.
and tell everyone what topic we're going to cover for this week's
We're
episode.
looking at 80s rap and hip hop.
Ooh, beautiful. One
Yeah.
in the same.
Yeah, one
Maybe
of the same.
you could say
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
So now I put this topic together
yeah.
because it would be fun
Mhm.
and go over some cool
Mhm.
80s music. But I will say 80s rap,
Mhm.
kind of a blind spot for me.
It's for me as well.
I probably didn't start listening to 80s rap until late 80s.
yeah.
And so, except for a few things I heard on the radio, maybe a Walk This
Mhm.
Way or Salt and Pepper's Push It.
Mhm.
But for the most part, until I really started listening to like rap,
Mhm.
was probably 87, 88. And so everything before that was kind of a blind spot. So I would say all the stuff from the early 80s that kind of laid the groundwork, I probably didn't hear that until the 90s,
Mhm.
like later
No,
on. I
that's
didn't
fair.
hear those songs. And so I was excited to go through this today and put together my list and do some research, but because it is a blind spot.
Yeah.
But not unfortunately, but for me, it is good. But for those of you listening, a lot of my choices are going to come from that time where I was more familiar with the rap.
That's exactly what I did.
And so if you tuned in today to listen to a lot of the early 80s stuff, at least from my list, you're not going to get a ton of it
Mm-mm.
because it wasn't in my
No.
in my hemisphere at that
Yep.
time.
Nope.
So I went with what I was actually listening
That's
to.
exactly what I did.
And
So
so,
I'm a little fearful that we might have some
I think we'll probably have a couple.
overlap. We might have a lot, but
I hope we don't have a lot. But
maybe some of the same artists.
We were kind of, I can see same
Yeah,
artists.
yeah.
Hope maybe we got some different songs.
Right.
But
yeah.
we were listening to the same
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, because
know.
like you said, I looked at my songs. I looked at the dates and very specific years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like real specific in
Yeah.
like a 2 to 3 year window.
Yeah.
I didn't branch out much.
87
87,
to
88,
80,
89.
Yeah,
that's where
kind
all
of
my stuff. I maybe have one or two that came from
a
you
little
know,
earlier.
85, 86, but
Yeah. Not a lot.
yeah.
But
Right.
I think that plays to that's what we listen to.
Yeah.
And so that'll come through. And if we have
Yeah.
some of the similar songs, that's
Yeah.
what happens. That means maybe that's a really good song.
Yeah.
So I
Well-
know we're going to have similar
Well, and
artists, so.
maybe you're already going to speak to this, but I think it speaks to when I was doing my research, I discovered that there's a reason why we gravitated towards that era of rap. They actually call it the golden age of hip hop.
I saw that on lots of things that
Yeah.
I researched.
Yeah.
It was always the golden age of hip hop.
Yeah. So they said like mid or late 80s to the early 90s, early to mid 90s. They call that the golden age of rap. And
Yeah.
and they talk about LL Cool J, Slick Rick, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, KRS-One, DJ Jazzy Jeff, De La Soul, all these. So all the things that, when you looked at all the lists and all the greatest of the same names came up.
Well, and even to go a little further, with a few exceptions, a lot of my rap, we've mentioned it before, but a lot of my rap came from other friends who had mixtapes and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
But two, a lot of my rap was West Coast based, like a lot of what I had, because that's what we had access to. Because they didn't play a lot of rap in Portland on any of our radio stations.
No.
Even in the late 80s when it got really popular, NWA and those types of bands, Public Enemy, they didn't play on our local radio stations. At least, and I don't know that we had a rap station in Portland.
There wasn't a hip hop.
So you weren't going to find that. You had to get tapes from people, and you had to get that stuff. So I will say another blind spot, even in the late 80s, is some of the New York or East Coast type, the Eric B. and Rakims, the some of those bands, some of those rap groups where I was not as familiar. Even Slick Rick. I mean, I know a song or two, but I don't know a lot. Kurtis Blow, he's much earlier, but some of those I just don't have as much to go off of.
No, I
KRS-One.
came across a couple that I listened to, and I'm like, I couldn't include them because I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I like this
Really
stuff.
good.
Like EPMD. Love them a lot. Boogie Down Productions was great.
DOC, I didn't know a lot about DOC.
So stuff that I wish I saw. I actually started listening to some of the stuff because of the research on this little production
project. Yeah, this little project we're doing.
Project. Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to dismiss because to get to 87 to 89, which is where you and I suddenly emerged from the suburbs and said, ooh, we like rap now. But I'm thinking that's around the time 30 million other white kids in suburbs decided, oh, we like rap now.
And we've talked about it before, but that was my exposure to it. I wasn't allowed to have that kind of music in the house. Yep. So we got it. We snuck it.
We snuck it from friends.
And so I was either getting it from friends who had older, siblings, or making it was almost like black market type stuff. We were exchanging it at the bus stop that was in our coat.
Oh yeah.
And
check this out.
We were like, oh my gosh, what is this? So I remember the first time I heard Ice-T was from a kid down the block. He had, he had an Ice-T tape, and
I got Too Short from a kid the first time. My first Two Live Crew came from a random a friend.
You talked about Slick Rick, so I was in doing the research for this. I was playing some of those Slick Rick songs, and I was not able to use them because they were too inappropriate.
Oh well, yeah.
But I knew them. I knew them better than
I will tell you.
I knew them better than
later.
I should.
Well, we'll go over that later. So, but I don't want to leave out the early 80s stuff because I did go back later and listen to it. They're not on my list because they weren't what I was listening to at this time. But Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, Sugarhill Gang, Kurtis Blow.
That's the early stuff.
The early stuff where, you have the message, you have White Lines. Obviously, Rapper's Delight, which is like one of the first to actually be heard on like a radio and stuff.
Right.
I've seen lots of interviews with prime hip hop artists that, I heard Sugarhill Gang and I was like, ooh, they're playing this on the radio.
Right.
Because they were used to it just being played in like clubs and parties, street parties, and all that stuff. So so the early 80s icons definitely laid the track. And as we're not going to go through it as much because we don't have a lot of the early 80s, but the sound really changes from the early 80s to the end of the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like just it, and not even the sound, the way they remix stuff and sample stuff. Lyrically, it just changes pretty drastically because you could say from 80 to 85, 86, pretty clean rap.
Yeah.
You might touch on some topics that are a little controversial or something, but for the most part, not a lot of profanity. You're not using certain slang terms. But then when you break into the late 80s and you start getting into some of the West Coast gangster rap, things like that, the lyrics drastically change.
Yep.
And it becomes a whole different party at that point. So I saw a cool quote. It was Chuck D of Public Enemy, lead rapper for Public Enemy. He said, rap is the CNN of the black community. Rappers are reporting the everyday lives of black people that no one else knows or wants to know about. So that's why he said that's why rap was so important because people would say, "Oh, you're glorifying the gangster lifestyle," or glorifying. He's like, "No, we are on-site reporters telling you this is what's going on."
What's the idea of that? People don't want to talk about it, but the marginalized communities, and this is their way of getting their message out. And they do it through song and popular culture, and that's how they did it. And they're telling their stories. I think you need to respect that. So.
Well, my first intro to rap, twofold, I would say. So we've mentioned friends giving us mixtapes that older brothers made for them. but Yo MTV Raps.
Oh yeah.
So they came out after school, so I could come home and watch. Now you're watching edited versions and stuff, but I was exposed to songs that otherwise I didn't hear because they would play songs on there that they wouldn't play during the normal MTV hours.
Right.
And then, of course, those weren't on our radio again.
Right.
So that gave me that opportunity to tap into that. But I found a cool fact. In 2017, rap and hip hop surpassed rock as the #1 musical genre for the first time ever.
Well,
So up till 2017, rock was the #1 genre producing on like the Billboard charts and everything. And then in 2017, rap and hip hop has surpassed it, and not rock has not taken that back. So
on our own show would the stats on our own show show that our #1 episode is a hip hop rap episode,
97,
and it's
far and ahead of everything.
Like it's not even close.
Yeah, it's not.
People just grab it. They like that one.
They like the rap and the hip hop.
So that shows that people like it.
And what two people are more qualified than you and I to talk about
the
rap
whitest guys
and hip hop? Where are you from? Oregon. Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
Suburban,
We are very.
the suburb of Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
We're very clued into that hip hop scene, right?
Yeah.
So,
what do I know?
but yeah, I think obviously once I was listening to rap, I really liked it a lot.
Yeah,
and I wish I had been listening more. I have said this before. I did not have License to Ill, and you would think as a kid, a lot of my friends might have had it, but I don't. I never got it, and I don't even remember listening except for like "Fight for Your Right for Party" because that showed up on MTV. I didn't really pay attention to the Beastie Boys too much until Paul's Boutique, and then I started listening to a couple songs. Then, of course, the 90s hit, and Beastie Boys became a big thing for me and for you. And then I went back and got License to Ill, and I was like, oh, what happened here? How did I miss
was the same
this?
way with Paul's Boutique, where I had it for years. I bought it, didn't really give it much of a listen, and then I listened to it later in life, and I was like, man, this is really good.
Really good.
Like artistry stuff. It's
and
really
I
good.
didn't include Paul's Boutique on here because I did not listen to that until later.
Yeah, I did.
So I did not get Paul's Boutique until the 90s. I won't try to. I'm not going to be one of those that, no, I had it from the beginning. No. Because that album was universally hated when it came out in 1989 because it didn't sound like License to Ill.
It was too different, yeah.
And then you flash forward 10, 15 years, it was like, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong, but it's just funny. They go back now and they're like, oh, this sucks. And then because it wasn't the frat boy.
No, that's what they wanted.
Thing.
Yeah.
And so they went to that.
Yeah.
Well, they broke, when they did Paul's Boutique, that's when they said, we're not having any more input. We're playing our instruments. We're making the beats.
Yeah.
It's our thing.
Yeah.
So they weren't taking any more input. They didn't want any like commercialization of, ooh, you need a hit song like this or like that. And they're like, no. So and ever since then they just record their own under their label.
Right.
Which I didn't write down. Yeah. I know what their label is.
Grand Royale.
Grand Royale. Yeah. That's it. So but they recorded everything under that. So they talk about that on that documentary.
Great documentary.
On Apple. Really good documentary.
It was really good. Yeah.
So I actually watched on YouTube. I found some good documentaries on Public Enemy and some late 80s and even early 80s hip hop. So, So
good.
It was quite interesting to go back over all of this. And some of the songs, as soon as I turned them on, I'm like, oh, yeah.
That's exactly.
I hadn't listened to in a really long time.
There was like 2 or 3 on here that I was like, I have not. I think the last time I probably listened to it was at the bus stop.
Yeah.
In 8th grade.
And I cannot believe 12-year-old, 11-year-old Dave was listening to a few of these.
I know.
They're great, but I cannot believe I was listening to some of these songs. So, all right. Fun. Adidas, Kangles, which Rob didn't know anything about, apparently. Kangles are the hats. We know what they are. Big chains and breakdancing epitomize the birth of mainstream rap. So we're heading back to the golden era of hip-hop as we look at our favorite rap from the 1980s. And you realize that was slotted right in with all that other great rap. But I should repreface. I said our favorite rap of the 1980s, since we've already established, more like our favorite rap of the mid to late 1980s. Because probably from 80 to 84, you and I are going to block that out as if it might not have occurred. So am I safe to say the Rapper's Delight is not part of your list today? I actually thought when I was putting mine together, I thought, you might take a historical journey on this
No.
and go, I'm going to relive, even though I didn't listen to all of it, I still want to relive what the
Yeah.
decade looked like. I
Yeah.
thought maybe you'd take that route.
No, I tried to think of how to Robsterize this, and then I thought I just got to stick with what I
Stick with
remember.
what we got.
And so my list was really short. And I just stuck with the ones that I remember either liking, listening to, gravitating towards when I was
And that's good. That's the way to do it.
whatever it was,
I just
10,
thought maybe
so.
you'd revisit. You'd be like,
No,
this was an iconic
No.
track. This
Yeah.
started this phase.
I
this
know,
did
that's-
this.
because I had like some Paul's Boutique stuff on here, and
Yeah.
I didn't
I was
listen to it till
expecting-
I was in my 20s. I didn't.
Yeah, I was
didn't catch
expecting some Grandmaster. I was expecting you to go back, way back,
it. Nope,
back into time.
nope, I didn't.
Well, after all this intense research,
Yeah.
you did, Rob. We put together.
Yeah.
We each have a top 10. The only rule I gave you is it had to be in the 80s.
Yeah.
So you've leaked a little of it out, but how did you like putting the list together?
It was really good.
Okay.
I liked it. It was fun. Like I said, there were some things on here that I had not listened to in many, many years.
Many
and,
years.
And then some that I was really glad that I think, deserve a chance to be talked about, because I think it's just.
Yes, some of these songs wouldn't come up in some of our other topic shows.
No.
A lot. So to give them, them this right here, I think.
And as I've gotten older, there's a couple artists in here that we're going to talk about that I look back now and I wish I would have appreciated. Well, I mean, you're 12, you don't know, but I look back now and I just think, man, they were really good, and some of them I think were super ahead of their time, and so I'm glad we get to talk about them. So it's good.
I just think when I listen to these songs, and even when I go back and watch, the foresight or talent to, I can't believe people just thought, I'm going to spin this tune on a loop.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk over it.
Mhm.
I guess the talking might be the easy part. I won't say it is, but I'm just saying for the early DJs to even think, let's spin this around and just put it on a loop and see what that beat sounds like.
Mhm.
I just think that took a lot of talent
Right.
and a lot of just a little genius to go. And then as the 80s went on, to add some samples and spin some other where you're looping multiple things at a time. It sounds very difficult.
Yeah,
to
the
me.
production
It's pretty
value of a lot of these
impressive.
songs is really impressive.
Oh, it is.
That's why I think, the Beastie Boys stuff, a lot of their stuff I like, because it's so layered, and it's sampling, and then they perform on top of it, and they play their own instruments, but a lot of the idea of, even at the beginning we were talking about the song It's Tricky.
Oh yeah.
That's the whole premise of that song is it's people are like, rap's super easy. And he's like, no, it's actually
Not so much.
tricky. It's actually is trickier than you think.
Quite difficult.
And to a lot of these they're free flowing. It's spontaneous. They give me a beat and they rap over it, and I'm like, I think it's
nice.
super cool.
Well, but again, you go from, like in Rapper's Delight, there's a whole verse in Rapper's Delight, and I like that song. It's great, but there's a whole verse in there about going to your friend's house to eat dinner.
Yeah.
And the food sucks. Like, that's a whole line.
I
In
know.
1980, that's pretty like dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, that's a whole line about KO pectate and all these things. But by 1988, 87, we've got Fight the Power.
Yeah,
And we've
right,
got songs like that. And
right.
you're like, the way that the lyrics changed
Yeah.
and how it drastically kind of, because at the beginning, and it's not to make fun of it, but it was more of the hip hop,
Yeah.
hibbity hop hop. And then you'd add some words.
Yeah.
And you just made things rhyme.
Yeah.
And then as it went on, as you got more of the street version of some of these songs, or even some of the fun songs, party type songs, the lyrics definitely they matured.
Oh yeah.
And then they definitely turned into something different. And the sound is just, it's so different.
Mhm.
Like if you go from the early 80s to the late 80s, and then of course you can progress that ahead into the 90s. But I would say the late 80s kind of set up what the 90s was going to sound like.
Yeah.
Particularly from a West Coast aspect,
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, I am going to give a disclaimer.
Uh-oh.
You had said some of the songs you couldn't use.
Yeah.
There is going to be some language in today. I did
Yeah.
not censor multiple songs.
didn't
I tried
either.
to avoid some. I avoided the really bad, the really bad ones.
Yeah.
Those sections of really bad
Yeah.
ones. But there may be some F words, and there may be
Yeah.
some words like
Yeah.
that. So,
So if you
just be
have-
prepared if you're listening now, and that's going to
Yeah.
be a problem.
So if you have young ones in the house,
They might
or
go
that are
away now.
listening, yeah.
So,
Just-
but if you were like Rob and I, 11 to 12, or what is it, 11 to 15 or 18, you're probably going to remember all these songs, and you're going to be like, I listened to
Yeah.
those too, and I listened to all those words.
Yeah.
So I know what tricks and hoes are. Thanks. to the guys in NWA.
That's right.
So,
I know. I learned a
so
lot
there
about.
there is going to be some language I did not censor anymore. I'm not a big
That's
censor guy. So, yeah, if you're not ready for that, go ahead and put pause or the 10-second push
That's right.
when I play that track. So,
Yeah.
but we're not going to keep suspense up any longer,
Yeah.
Rob. We're going to head back to the 80s, and you're going to set us off with your number 10 song, and you're going to get this place going. You're going to get Kip hype. Kip has no idea what we're going to do today. He hasn't even heard most of this music, so he's in for like a rap education.
That's right.
There
All
you go.
right. So here's my number
10.
I raised my hand and said, excuse me, but can I go to the bathroom, ma'am? The teacher got upset and she screamed out, no, it's off to the principal's office.
There you go. That's good.
It's really stupid.
Why is it stupid?
It's such a silly song. I like the song. I like the beat. I like the way he samples it, and
That bass?
yeah,
12 o'clock comes with mass hysteria. Everybody
So
rushes
good.
down.
Okay, so what do we
Yeah.
got, Rob?
So this is Principal's Office.
Yes.
Released in November of '89. That's going to be a theme.
Yeah.
Young MC. So this was the follow-up to Bust a Move.
Who knows the follow-up to Bust a Move?
Nobody.
Just you.
Now you do. There
And,
you go.
You know, could you say listening to this back in the day has gotten you to where you are now
Yeah, I
as a principal?
every morning before I get ready for the day, I show up at the office. I make myself a cup of coffee.
Throw on Young MC.
I dust off my Principal Belding picture. I
love that you have a shrine to him.
Yeah, and then I blast Principal's Office.
You know, I feel like next to the Belding photo,
Mhm.
you should have that bald teacher from Back to the Future.
No, I have a
Wizards.
framed quote where he talks about
Yeah.
that they're risk seekers.
Risk
Yeah,
seekers,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So
that's-
anyway,
but
back to Mr.
yeah,
Young MC.
this video was the song nominated for Best Rap Video in 1990 MTV Music Video Awards. You mentioned clean, no profanity, and family friendly, and so this was kind of that mid to late 80s rap that was family. MC Hammer was in there, and,
Yeah.
so this
This
was
is the
that
rap you
time
bring
where
the rap you
now,
bring home to mom.
Now my list is going to
Increase.
It's going to evolve.
I know it
as
is.
the day the evening goes on.
I assume you started out light.
Yeah. So that's it had all the things that I liked as a kid. It was funny. You could it was easy to rap. It was easy to follow along to. It wasn't offensive. It was.
I'm assuming not a lot of other facts you were able to find on this song.
No, there wasn't a lot.
Not a lot out there.
Yeah.
On
I
the
did
follow.
learn that Young MC. I did realize he was like he's British.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I had
Yeah.
read that.
I read an interview,
That's
and
good.
he's clearly got a British
I
accent.
like
so,
it.
anyway.
So, all right. Well, kicking us off with the well-known and respected top rapper, Young MC. We started
That's
that
right.
off, right. So,
Yeah.
everyone goes to him first most times.
Well, now when I was researching stuff, I'd go listen to somebody else like this, and then it always listed Young
there.
MC. So I'm like,
You're like, Bust a Move? What else is there? Apparently
old
there's
one.
Principal's Office. So, all right. Well, my number 10, hype party song from a group, a fun group that we used to, that we love a lot.
Look how you like.
Now don't you know we're getting busy? We can't be corrected. Shake that.
I tried to find a Digital Underground song that was in the 80s. I couldn't find one.
This is the one.
Even though you don't think it's right. Yo,
This is
I
good.
like to bite.
I like the butt.
Just having fun, y'all. And if you think it is wrong, you got to admit it's a new type of song.
Was this
Do
Sex
what you
Packet?
like.
It is.
Yeah.
I like that mix in the background.
Yeah.
What you like,
Yeah.
yo, go where you like.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
So this
I
is-
like the layering. And
Oh,
the-
it's so good.
Yeah.
So this is Do What You Like. All one word. So you can throw that all together. Digital Underground. This released in 1989 off their debut album, Sex Packet. So this was the first single released. And then not a huge hit like the next single off the album. In February of 1990, of course, the Humpty Dance hit the world. And that really took them off. But
Yeah.
I heard Do What You Like ahead of time. I think I had it on a tape, right? I didn't have Sex Packets, but I think I had this. I got it from someone else. So top 20 hit on the Billboard R&B hip hop songs chart. Didn't find its way into the Hot 100, so didn't register for that. Video, interesting video, has Biz Markie and LL Cool J in it, and they're in a dance club. They're at a pool at a hotel. They're just always dancing, having fun. There's really nothing there. So, and the song also features a piano solo, which you don't hear very often in many songs. So, especially rap songs, to have just a straight piano solo.
Why not?
I thought that was pretty interesting. So, a lot of YouTube comments said, with all the gangster rap and message-based rap out in the late 80s and early 90s, I appreciate the Digital Underground just made songs to have fun, dance, and just be silly. And in true Humpty fashion, one of the lyrics, he says, and I just think this is funny, he says, help yourself to a cracker with a spread of cheddar cheese, have a neck bone, you don't have to say please. So say it's not complicated,
No.
but it's fun, and it makes me laugh. And it makes me smile.
You go back to your piano thing.
Yes.
I think that's something that I like about rap and hip hop is they incorporate a lot of instrumental stuff from other
They do.
music. So there's a lot of times you'll get saxophones and you'll get bluesy stuff, or you get the old R&B stuff, and I like that.
Well, because they went back and sampled a lot of those older records.
Well, no, it's probably
and
stuff
jazz
that
records
they were listening to when they grew up.
Yeah.
And so they were,
Or their parents listened to.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But
So,
yeah, and again, to be able to layer some of those things over
and make a song out of it.
and make it real catchy, I think is
Super.
pretty exciting. So, all right, well, that takes us to your number 9.
All right.
People say I sit and try, but when it comes to being there,
I've been trying to figure out a way to get
me,
this in.
myself, and
I mean, it's great. I'm interested in the rest of your top 10 that it's number 9.
Oh,
It's just me, myself, and I.
I'm really proud of my list.
That's good.
It's just me, myself, and I. Now you tease my
I just like the way they rap.
Yeah, they're great. Some interesting stuff about this song.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you researched and found, but
I got a little bit.
Okay.
What I was, I'd listen to it and I'd watch the lyrics on the on the screen, and their cadence to the song is
beautiful.
It's so off. It's weird. Anyway, but I'm like, how did they do that? Released April of '89. I don't have a lot on the song.
What is it? What's it called?
Oh, it's called Me, Myself, and I. It's by a group called De La Soul.
There you go.
From their debut album, 3 Feet High and Rising. Multiple lists that I found said this is an album that is consistently placed on as one of the greatest albums of all time.
Great.
Not just greatest hip hop album,
Nice.
one of the greatest albums of all time. It was the group's only number 1 hit on the U.S. Billboard R&B chart, and VH1 liked it. They put it at number 46 on their 100 greatest songs of hip hop. But that's
what you.
Me, Myself, and I, De La Soul.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah. Also from 1989.
Also from 1989.
Wow. No, I remember this video.
Oh, yeah.
There was a scene where the guy's he's scratching on the records, and the record comes off and goes right into the guy's head.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
They're
like in a classroom, and
it's an awesome song. So good. So my number 9.
Mm.
I think it's my only, I would say, dedicated radio. Some of these other songs got to the radio, but this one I think was always just like a dedicated radio rap song, kind of like a Young MC. But not Young MC.
Began to beg, and then he hit his bowl and looked at me and did a wild thing on my leg. He used to scratch and bite
really
me
good.
before he was
Much meaner.
But now all the poodles run to my house for the funky cold Medina.
Man, this was
You know what
everywhere.
I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I got every dog in my neighborhood
I like
breaking
this.
down my door.
He's pouring it down the drain.
Alex from
He says he's got Spuds McKenzie.
They won't leave my
How
dog
80s
alone,
is that?
Medina, pal.
Yeah, nobody.
The mix is.
I went up to this girl. She said, "Hi, my name is Sheena."
That was
So-
the other thing that is going to become a theme is the idea of the mixing of rock
Oh,
and
yeah.
rap.
Yeah,
The
they found
rapping
each other.
yeah, it was so good.
Well, and you could probably thank 2 groups for that,
Yeah.
but it's good
Yeah.
that they did that.
Yeah.
So this is Funky Cold Medina by Tone Loc.
Mm.
Just like the wild thing, this song was written by Marvin Young. You know who Marvin Young is?
No.
He
Should
goes by the name Young MC.
I? No, I should have known
There
that.
you go. So Marvin
Because in
Young.
the song, he actually talks about Marvin. They call him
Yeah.
Marvin. That's right.
So Marvin wrote this and Wild Thing for Tone Loc.
yeah.
Wild Thing was the first big radio hit. This is the follow-up, but I actually like this song better.
Yeah.
Musically, they're pretty similar. Kind of the beats
Right.
a little bit the same. But I think the lyrics are. I like the lyrics in this one. It's funny. They talk about the dog. Now you might be thinking, what is Funky Cold Medina, Rob?
I'm going to guess it's a drink.
You are correct.
Okay,
So Cold Medina was actually said by Public Enemy's Flava Flav a year before this song came out on the album It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Cold Medina was then adopted by Flava's label mates, the Beastie Boys,
Uh-huh.
as a nickname for the cocktail Fuzzy Navel. So they would drink those, call it Cold Medina. Flav allegedly then told Tone Loc when they were hanging out one night, you should use that catchphrase as a song. He shared it with Marvin Young. Voila, we have Funky Cold Medina, right? So
musical history.
this song samples everything from Hot Blooded by Foreigner. That's the guitar riff. It's got I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. And You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. So he's got a lot of layers in there. So after the song's popularity, several actual cocktails have been renamed in its honor. Hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, so no slouch in the radio department. In today's world, might be some questionable lyrics, particularly the part about Sheena being a man.
That's right.
He talks about the Oscar Mayer wiener.
Yeah.
But we're going to live in 1989, not 2025.
That's right.
Loc said the song concludes that Funky Cold Medina just brings trouble and only causes problems, doesn't solve them.
That's right.
The song has been mistaken for being pro-roofie, as people think the Cold Medina is being used to spike drinks. But in 2024, Tone Loc said in an interview, the song is actually a morality tale, teaching the individual that Funky Cold Medina is causing his issues and that he needs to do different things to attract other individuals.
That's good.
So, and my last fun fact, this is a good one. Tone Loc's very popular or famous gravelly, like hoarse rap voice came from drinking tea as a child. He actually scalded his throat in such a way that it altered his voice for the rest of his life.
Wow.
There
you go.
So
this show's off already. We've got lots of obscure knowledge.
Obscure.
Yeah. So if you're at your trivia nights,
if ever wondered why Tone Loc sounds like that, he was drinking tea.
How did Tone Loc's voice anyway
end up like that?
Yeah.
So all right, that takes you to. There's a pause right there.
Yeah.
I'm building system.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Or my throat didn't work.
There you go.
Maybe I was drinking tea.
I really like this song.
Here it is. I looked at this. I actually had another song my friend Chris used to listen to all the time because Sir Mix-a-Lot's from Auburn, Washington. Well, he was born there. And actually the song we would listen to in Japan all the time. This we heard, but Buttermilk Biscuits.
Buttermilk Biscuits, yes.
So that was the one we listened to all the time.
All the time.
Kind of a fun, silly song.
This is another one. Just the mixing in the back, the sounds.
It's so good.
The story he's telling and the way he tells it.
Well, in this song, if you're from Seattle,
yeah,
very much highlights downtown.
Yeah,
Seattle.
it's all the stops. It's Dick's is a burger joint. It's all the things. Yeah,
he does
talks
it all.
About all the streets. Anyway, this is a Posse on Broadway. Sir Mix-a-Lot. You mentioned he's a Seattle guy. It's from his '88 debut album. It's called Swass. Now, according to Sir Mix-a-Lot, the word Swass didn't really mean anything. It was an inside joke. Eventually, it was explained as some wild ass silly shit.
There it is.
There you go.
Very good.
The single is regarded as Mix-a-Lot's career breakthrough, and it's considered the first golden age hip hop record from outside either the East Coast, West Coast, or Southern type hip hop. So he was kind of the first the Seattle rap scene. You know, he was kind of different. The song is a day in the life where Mix-a-Lot and his friends cruise their hometown of Seattle. The Broadway in the song is the main drag in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. He's going around. They go to Taco Bell.
Super cool.
Larry is the white guy. He makes a lot of money. Yeah.
The white guy makes all the money.
He describes all the characters that are in the car, and they pick up people on the way, and it gets too heavy. And
Well, I don't know if it's ever going to happen again on this show, or if we're going to have a place to squeeze it in. But this was the song that Chris and I. This was the Buttermilk Biscuits.
Yeah, and he's got that weird high-pitched voice. Yeah. Yeah. This was a tape that was exchanged at the bus stop.
By the way, parentheticals keep on square dancing.
Yeah.
We listen to this a lot.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I thought, now thinking back, it's a little silly.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was younger, and then when I first met Chris, we listened to this, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. Like that.
It was so weird,
cutting edge or something. Yeah. So
well, and it was hard to. And then a couple years later when Baby Got Back came out.
Oh yeah.
not the same guy.
Didn't know it was the
didn't
same
seem like it was the same
Yeah.
guy. And I was like, wait, I remember listening to that guy when I was at the bus stop.
Well, my friend Chris would say that. He would be like, everybody likes Baby Got Back. He goes, I got it. But he goes, that's not the good stuff. He goes, the good stuff is what he did in the late 80s. He goes, buttermilk biscuits and pasta. He preferred that stuff.
Yeah.
So
No.
Okay. Well, my
Aussie
number
Umbra.
8, very good with Sir Mix-a-Lot. My number 8, I think it might surprise you a little bit.
6 in the morning, police at my door. Fresh Adidas squeak across the bathroom floor. Out my back window, I make my escape.
Is this Ice-T? 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning. I love it.
I remember this one. That bass in the back is great. Ice-T was no joke when his lyrical.
So good.
It's really good.
So this is, as you said, 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning.
No G on that morning.
6 in the morning.
Moaning. So Ice-T. So this song is everywhere I could find it. This song is widely considered the first gangsta rap song.
Oh yeah.
So released in 1986. So there wasn't anybody doing that really at that time. Off of Ice-T's album Rhyme Pays. I cannot find it. Didn't chart anywhere that I could find, but in '86, the sound in the lyrics, probably not surprising, it didn't chart. People weren't probably ready for it yet.
Not ready for it.
Yeah, but thanks to Ice-T and NWA in the late '80s, gangster rap became the most commercially lucrative subgenre of hip hop.
Yeah.
So it made the most money. So interesting story about him. He affiliated with gangs because he went to Crenshaw High School, and then he didn't want to be a gang member anymore, so he became a hustler. So he was doing stuff on the streets, illegal stuff, but he was hustling and he was making money. And one night at a club, a director approached him and asked him if he'd play the part of a rapper in the first Breakin' movie.
Oh, that's right. He was like the MC.
And at first he was like, he goes, no, I don't want to be in no stupid movie and all this. And he said his friends came to him and go, you need to go, you have talent, you need to get out, go make that money.
Yeah.
They go, white people like you. He said that's exactly what his friends would tell you. White people like you.
Right.
They're like, you're not too black, you sound good. He goes, white people will always take you in. And so he goes on Breakin', and then that leads to him getting to, rap. So got him out of the hood. I saw Ice Cube give an interview, said he loved this song when it came out and loved Ice-T. And he said it was the first time someone captured what an actual day was like for inner city kids like Cube in South Central LA. Yeah. So it was really like it affected him a lot. So Ice-T was inspired for this song by a guy named Schooly D.
I saw that name come up a lot.
Who had a song called Parkside Killers. And Ice-T stated he should be credited with the first gangster rhyme for that song, but because of the movie Breakin', Ice-T was able to spread his song more popular, and Schooly D was really a local thing that nobody really else got a hold of. But he says if it wasn't for Parkside Killers, there would have been no 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
there's a Beastie Boys song that references Schooly D. And it's really quick. I don't know I can't remember what song it is, but
can't remember.
Talks about Schooly D. Schooly D.
Schooly.
All right.
So
that's a good one.
6 in the morning. Number 7.
This is my number 7?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Doing it. I don't think so. So I will say, I wasn't a huge LL Cool J guy. I know this song.
Yeah.
This was not one I listened to a lot. And I used to not love it because he raps so low.
Yeah.
I like the beat, but he's so quiet at times. Like, I don't even know what he's saying.
That's everything about this. The video was black and white, which is weird, I thought. The style is different. It had horns in it.
Yeah. Here's what I want.
It was a weird,
because you're mentioning the horns.
Yeah.
Play it from the start.
Oh yeah.
Because there is a jazz horn solo that Rick Rubin put into the song.
There you go.
And this was very odd for rap songs at the time.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Like from the
but
beginning.
Really good.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, he didn't love it. LL Cool J didn't love it. He did it, but he didn't. Yeah. He thought it was too long at the beginning.
Yeah, it goes on forever.
Oh yeah, but it's cool how they come in with the horns.
Yeah.
So
but super cool song. This is Going Back to Cali, 1988. LL Cool J. It's from the Less Than Zero soundtrack, which I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole that I got to listen to that soundtrack.
Well, first of all,
it comes up all the time.
Well, it's not even that. I need to see that movie.
Apparently, yeah.
It's got Robert Downey Jr. It's got Andrew McCarthy, I believe. It's got Annabelle Gish. they come back from college and it's the 80s.
Yeah.
They get hooked on cocaine. Like Robert Downey Jr. becomes a big, like that was the first time he acted and people were like, this dude
Right. He
is
can
like
act.
this is a
Yeah.
dude. And so I need to see that movie. I've heard it
Yeah.
so many times come up and I've
No,
never
in
seen
my
it.
research on other shows, Less Than Zero comes up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to listen to it. It's LL's third album, Walking with a Panther. It's a great title. The song was co-written by Rick Rubin. He talked about that. It peaked at number 31 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's certified gold in 1991. Then it went platinum in 2017. The song is about LL moving to California. He describes a trip to LA in which he meets several women, but he's scared off because they are too sexually aggressive.
I just like the picture that LL is
It's like,
scared
whoa.
off. Wait a minute. No.
No.
Like, what were they doing that was just like, I have to draw the line? Like they're throwing
Like,
their underwear at
Yeah,
him.
he's like, whoa.
They're propositioning
Sorry.
him. What level of aggressiveness was like too much? Hey, me and 4 of my friends want you to go back to the
Yeah.
hotel with us. Nope.
Yeah.
I got to draw the line. This is too much.
And then meanwhile, in the 2000s,
Yeah.
we're doing it, and we're doing it, and we're doing it well. So he wasn't too worried about it.
No,
Yeah.
I just I find that funny. Like, yeah, what level of and when you're telling your friends,
Yeah.
oh, they were too aggressive.
They're,
What the,
whoa.
what the hell?
Those
are you
girls out in LA are
be
way
like,
too
I-
all about it.
I look at them and go, dude, what are you talking about? So they wanted to have sex with you,
Yeah.
and you ran away.
That's right. I did.
You suck,
I did.
LL. Oh, Mama, they were too sexual. You want me to knock them out? I'll knock those girls out. So
That's what the song's about.
that's what the song's about. Those
Mama
sexually-
just told me to knock you out.
those sexually aggressive girls.
That's who he's talking to.
So, first of all, let's not deviate into a scenario where we're
Sorry.
advocating. Knocking
no, that's
girls
not what
out.
we
That's
meant.
not.
Oh,
Tongue in
man.
cheek, tongue in
Yeah,
cheek. So,
we were just
all right, my number 7. You're gonna like this one
Okay.
a lot.
Now play. I don't know what it is about this beat that we have here, but it sure is funky.
Yo, kid, I don't know
This
what
Kid
it
and Play.
It is.
Groove this here making us move, but it sure is funky.
It's from House Party.
To rap.
No?
It's not.
Kid and play back rolling strong.
By the way,
We can get
pretty
funky
good
with
rappers.
the
Yeah.
I think I sold them a little short at times.
Just how it had to be.
Just take a look around, boy. Can't you see guys up on rushing?
Girls are just blushing.
Whiz rocks the scratch.
Well, that's kind of like Fresh Prince, and people kind of brush those two guys off, but they were good. They were,
So this is Rolling with Kid and Play. Again, no G on Rolling. Makes it a little more street if you leave the G's
rolling.
out. This is Kid and Play.
Yeah.
And Kid and Play with that N in the middle.
Kid and Play.
N. And I don't know exactly how that would work,
Kid
but
and Play.
it's an apostrophe N.
Okay, Kid and Play.
I don't know how
Kid and
that-
Play.
I don't know how that grammar works, but it's making it happen. So this was released off the 2 Hype album in 1989. Song hit number 2 on the Hot Rap Songs chart. Not a lot of info to be found on this song. I looked a lot. Great party song. The vibe from the song and Kid and Play's energy in the video is what helped score them the House Party movie.
Mhm.
So this is before the movie, but this song and kind of the video and their vibe is what got them the movie in the first place. So Kid and Play are probably most famous for 2 things. You want to guess those 2 things?
They're most famous for the movie House Party.
Okay.
Oh, no. And the dance move.
The dance
Yeah,
move.
the little
Okay.
foot tapping thing.
It is. It's
Yeah.
called the Kid and Play Kick Step.
Oh, there
All right.
you go.
The other thing they're probably most famous for, though, besides
I think
House
I've done
Party,
the kick step at a few weddings.
We have, and we've done it together on a New Year's Eve party. I think there's pictures of that. You, me, and Kurt, the movie hounds. The other thing they're actually most famous for is kids' high fade.
Oh,
top
that's right.
hair. He looked like he had an eraser on top of his head.
Yes, that's
So that's
right.
the other thing they would probably be
Yeah.
most famous for. So this was the dance. The Kid and Play Kickstep was actually influenced by the 1920s era dance, the Charleston.
Okay.
So just a fun party song, in my opinion. That's why I threw it on here. You can put it on any party. You can dance. Like I said, I was listening more. I listened to it. They were actually pretty good rappers. I'm actually surprised they didn't have more mainstream hits because they have a really good flow.
Right.
They're really clean with their lyrics. Like, I mean, their delivery's clean. It's not mumbled. Nothing's
Mhm.
weird. Like, I don't know. They had a good thing. But maybe once they got into movies, they weren't as worried
I
about
don't know. They made their money.
cutting records
That's
as
right.
much. But anyway, fun song.
They sold out.
Doing the Kid and Play kick step. Can't go wrong.
That's good.
So,
I like that one.
so it takes you to your number 6.
All right, here we go.
Here's what I'm going to sing.
You got what I need.
I understand this song.
Yeah.
But you say
On your
you're
countdown.
just a
Yeah.
friend.
I've never been a fan of it.
Oh, I'm not saying I like it, but
Oh, baby,
it
In fact,
it was everywhere.
everything you read everything you read and everything you go over, Biz Marquee's like this genius and everybody loves him. I don't love his sound. Like I never did. I'm not saying he's not good at writing songs or making beats.
Right.
But his delivery and his sound itself was not something I got into a lot.
No. And even the lyrics in this song are
they're kind of silly.
I'm like, that seems like I could have done that. But then
yeah,
I'm not doing it. So
you're
there
not.
You go.
And off the record, you could not have done that.
I could not have done that.
At all. The fact that you were like, I could have done that. No, you couldn't. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Here, that's why I'm sitting here talking about it. Because that's the level of my.
That is correct.
Yeah. This is called Just a Friend. Written, produced, and performed by Biz Marquee. Released September 89.
There it is.
Marquee's, it's his most successful single, reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's certified platinum. Biz describes romantic frustration after pursuing a woman who is actually romantically involved with another man who she falsely claims as, quote, just a friend, unquote. On their list of the 100 greatest one-hit wonders, VH1 ranked this 81 in 2000. But in 2008, which is VH1's a little backwards. So in 2000, they say, oh, he's 81 on the greatest one-hit wonders. But then 2008, they named it number 100 on their VH1's 100 greatest songs of hip hop. So
there you go.
In one list, they're saying it's one hit wonder, one, and they're saying it's the greatest song. And then 2021, it was ranked at number 480 on Rolling Stone's top 500 best songs of all time. I don't just cracked the 500.
I don't think.
And then I think if I remember right, then like the next year didn't make the list.
That's fine.
Anyway. Yeah. So it's
I
just
put
a
it
friend.
up in that echelon. So, all right. Well, my number 6. So this is my first. I gave my warning at the beginning about some language, but it's very important to play this song from the beginning because when I first heard it, the beginning was the important part.
We might have a crossover.
He was once a thug from around the way. Easy. But you should.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
I know.
Get the fuck out of here. Yo, Dre. What's up? Give me a funky ass bass line.
This bass line's so good, though.
Dr. Dre's production.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing this the first time. I'll go into it in a minute, but I just.
What the fuck is up? In the place to be. Coming on the mic is easy, motherfucker.
You know you listen.
You were warned.
You were warned.
On the cut, so listen up close while we rip shit up.
I like his first line.
Well, I'm Easy E. I got bitches galore. You might have a lot of bitches, but I got much more.
I got much more.
That's so good.
So I actually have a second sample because I want to get into the chorus because the way they layer the chorus and some of the beats they sample and stuff, it's really clever. So one more little sample.
Boy, you should have known by now. Easy does it. Easy does it. I was knocking motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
What's your name, boy?
That's now wait for the end of this. See if you get it.
Where you from, fool?
Little Beastie Boys thrown in there at the end. Yeah. So this is Easy Does It.
Mm-hmm.
Does with a Z. By Eazy-E, MC Ren, and Dr. Dre. I just remember this being the first Eazy-E song. I got this tape. This was the first one I heard. I got on a mixtape. And the first time I heard that come into my headphones, the beginning with once was a thug, and they says, get the fuck out of here. I laughed so hard. Like I was just dying laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life. So, but there's so much going on in the chorus. Sampled the Beastie Boys, Fight for Your Right. It's got Biz Marquee, The Temptations. I mean, there's just a lot of samples going on in there. Song's opening is a parody of the theme song to Gumby. So if you ever want to check that out, it is. So it's off his debut album of the same name. It was produced by Dr. Dre and DJ Yella, also with NWA. The song describes Eazy's daily activities, which often ended with him shooting his enemies dead. That's what it said. So, well, the main sample on this track actually comes from a song called Ball of Confusion. Parentheticals, That's What the World Is Today by the Temptations.
Yeah, Temptations.
And here's a little bit of that.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Got the funky bass.
Yes.
And you might recognize this has been it was the beginning of Tropic Thunder.
Yes. Great.
Really 70s, like a funky vibe.
Psychedelic.
Really weird. It's the Temptations, by the way.
I know.
But it's a great song.
Good stuff.
So that's where the main sample comes from for this song. So I released this song, and it was also in Sister Act. The nuns sing it in Sister Act. So in case you forgot,
You love that movie.
oh yeah, so
No, you like Sister Act 2 better.
too. But in the
that's
first
a
one, they
different.
sing
That's a
this,
different
so.
conversation.
But this song, along with other Eazy-E songs, were pretty controversial as they were considered misogynistic
Yeah.
and spoke about killing and assaults on men and women. And so,
And what year did that come out?
It came out in, I believe it was 88.
88. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure it was 88. I just know 11, 12-year-old Dave thought this was awesome and listened to it a lot. And I shouldn't have been listening to it at all because there's other Eazy songs I didn't pick that are much more graphic.
Yeah.
But still really memorable. But Eazy does it. My number 6. So.
Well, we didn't cross over.
Correct.
But the fact that you and I picked, well,
okay.
There we go.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Yeah. I looked at this one too.
Clocking the door.
That's another one right from the beginning.
Yeah.
This starts right there.
Knuckleheads out there cold
Shooting some hoop.
I like this part. Can it be?
A fresh El Camino rolling Kilo G. He rolled down his window and he started to say,
It's all about making that GTA.
Cause the boys in the hood are
Always hard.
This part right here.
Come talking the trash, we'll pull your car. Knowing nothing in life but to
Be legit.
Don't quote me,
boy,
cause I ain't said shit.
I love it. And then anyway.
No, the remix really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
That whole song
I looked at this one. I was juggling this, and Eazy does it. It's just Eazy does it the first song I heard from Eazy, so that's why
I just remember the opening. The rolling down the street in my 6'4". This is "Boys in the Hood." It's the debut single by Eazy-E. This is probably it's my second oldest one. Released in March of '87. So Eazy-E, also known as Eric Wright, founded Ruthless Records in '87. He had a songwriting team that included his record producer, Dr. Dre, a rapper named Arabian Prince. I don't know much about him, and a ghostwriter named Ice Cube.
Ooh.
Wright pitched this song to another group. They rejected it. So he thought, I'll rap it myself, and I'll call myself Eazy-E. And then by '89, he had added MC Ren and a producer, DJ Yella, to form what would become NWA, and they released Straight Outta Compton. The rest is history. Interestingly, it samples the Beastie Boys' song "Hold It." Hold it, now hit it.
Yeah, and you can hear it.
Yeah. So, and this is just a rundown of the song. It's in the song, Eazy-E tells the story of an ordinary day in the life in the hood. Eazy sees a friend, Kilo G, after he's stolen a car. Kilo G brags. Eazy tells the story of a friend who became addicted to crack and tried to steal E's radio.
Happens every day.
Eazy chased the guy to call a truce, but the guy pulls a gun, a deuce. Eazy pulls out 12 gauge, kills his friend. Eazy goes to a party, drinks, then hooks up with his girl. They fight. Eazy slaps her. Her father witnesses and yells at Eazy. Eazy hits him and knocks him out. Later, Eazy wrecks his 6'4".
Really giving us the whole song.
He witnesses the arrest of Kilo G. Eazy attempts to bail Kilo G out, but apparently Kilo G had started a riot while in jail. So Kilo G was sentenced to 6 years in jail. But while he's in the courtroom, him and his girlfriend Susie had planned an escape. So on the code word fire, Susie entered the code word with a submachine Uzi.
Of course.
Susie gets shot. Kilo G and Susie both get attempted murder.
Good.
End of song.
Just a day for Eazy.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Yeah. There's Jack and Diane.
Very uplifting.
And Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
Pretty much one and the same.
Telling the same story.
Yeah, just from a different aspect.
It's a love story.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, well, great. Eazy-E both locked in there. I had him at 6, you had him at 5.
That's right.
My number 5, not going to spend a lot of time on this because first crossover. So,
love it.
I think you had it too low.
Yeah.
You know, I really like the opening.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Tell me, mirror, what
Well, won't spend a lot of time with it. We've already highlighted
it.
it. The only thing I would add, you didn't talk about, so this is me, myself, and I again, De La Soul. De La Soul interviewed about this song, and they hate it.
Why?
At concerts, they would say, let's get this over with, and then chant in the chorus, we hate this song. So De La Soul, not fans of this. According to the group, the song was pushed onto them as the record label wanted something familiar and poppy that could be released as a single and become a hit.
Yeah.
So in order to make the rest of the album, they agreed to do it, but they didn't really want to record this song. They say it's a blessing and a curse as it made them famous and more widely known, but they think it sucks all the oxygen out of the other songs on the album that they like much better, and the ones that they wrote themselves. So they're not big fans of we go back to the song that makes us most famous and most money. We're going to go ahead and complain about that. But this samples the heavy sample. I don't know if you saw, but it's from the Clinton administration, they were called. So you got George Clinton and his Funkadelics. It's called Parentheticals, Not Just Knee Deep is the title of this song. And obviously you can easily pick up where they get the beat from.
Oh, yeah.
Little more spacey 70s for Clinton.
Same idea. Love it.
But this is where it comes from the Me, Myself, and I. So the Clinton administration gave them their beat. They were more than happy to type. Actually, George Clinton and another member of the band got writing credit on the song because they took the beat across. So, so my number 5.
Our only crossover today.
So far.
Nice.
Well, you say so far. We're getting into the top. So this is where we might have. I think I'm going to guess at least 2 more before we're done.
So?
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to say none.
Okay.
Well, maybe 1.
Good.
All
I like
right,
it.
Here we go.
All right. So number 4.
Here we go.
It's a good one. There's the rhyming and stealing. There's lots of choices on that album.
I know.
You went rhyming and stealing.
I did.
Rhyming and stealing's good.
And it's probably the one song I couldn't find a lot about because it wasn't one of their major releases, but I picked it because I remember.
You remember rhyming and stealing?
I had a friend named Ben in elementary school, and we'd listen to this in the room. And
then you guys would go out and rhyme and steal?
Yeah. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
I love it.
I remember that part.
Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
We used to, I just remember it.
You just say that over and over
So the
again.
minute that song came up, I was like, I'm doing that one. I'm using it. So this is Rhymin' and Stealin' by the Beastie Boys from their debut album, License to Ill, released in November of 86. The album became the first rap LP to top the Billboard 200 chart. It was the second rap album to be certified platinum. It's certified diamond in 2015, which means it shipped over 10 million copies just in the United States.
Beautiful.
License to Ill has been ranked by critics as one of the greatest hip-hop and debut albums of all time. The group originally, this is unfortunate. I didn't know. It's a little offensive, but I think it's worthy to note. The group originally wanted to title the album Don't Be a Faggot.
Nice.
Yeah. But Columbia Records refused.
Of course.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Refused to release the album under this title, arguing that it was homophobic.
You think?
Pressured Russell Simmons, Beastie Boys' manager, and the head of Def Jam Recordings at the time, into forcing them to choose another title.
Yes.
Adam Horowitz of the Beastie Boys has since apologized.
Of course he
for
has.
the album's earlier title.
They've also apologized for multiple songs on that album since then too.
Yes.
For License to Ill. They came around much later and realized we had a few missteps.
Right. I found an online comment. It says, listen to, so it samples heavily from Led Zeppelin, and it says, When the Levee Breaks is the name of the song. And then listen to Rhymin' and Stealin' again, and notice how the Beastie Boys literally copied and pasted the drums from Zeppelin. The title of the song literally describes what the Beastie Boys do. They rhyme and they steal.
There you go.
I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's clever. Maybe that's what they're doing.
It is.
They're actually saying, is what we do. We go out and we rhyme and we steal lyrics and beats, and we make a really good living at it. So.
Well, my number 4, great number 4. Can't go wrong with the Beastie Boys. My number 4, a little bit of a holla back to your opening.
This speech is my recital. I think it's very
there it is.
To rock around. That's right.
It's so good. The opening of the song is so good.
Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time is tricky.
Oh, that's so good.
Tricky. This is really good.
Oh,
this is what for you? Number what?
Number 4.
Little girly. Yeah.
Went to her house and bust her out.
I had to leave real early.
Real early. I wonder what real early is. Like before 10 o'clock? Or maybe it's on the other side of the day. I got to leave at 3 in the morning. I'm not sure.
See, he's very concerned about the time.
He is.
LL Cool J.
He has to be somewhere.
LL Cool J is worried about the sexually aggressive girls.
But Run DMC's on here saying, at least I'm going to go bust her out. LL's running with his tail between his legs back to New York. He can't handle it. They're totally aggressive. All right, this is It's Tricky by Run DMC. Probably one of the more popular, I would say, 80s rap songs you could think of. Yeah. Released in 1987. Another one I saw for the first time in Yo MTV Raps. Penn and Teller are in the video. Don't know why, but there they are.
They were
doing some little magic stuff. So consider a legendary hip-hop anthem and is one of the most recognizable hits for Run DMC with its high energy flow and infectious beat. And I got to tell you, it's one of the best openings to a song.
Oh, yeah.
Of any song I listen to. So it's just
Run
fantastic.
DMC were
So
good at that.
the song, for all of its popularity, is not without controversy. Run DMC sampled heavily the guitar riff from the Knack's My Sharona and the vocal structure from Tony Basil's Mickey. So the Knack's sued Run DMC 20 years later after its release for sampling My Sharona without permission. Why 20 years? Because they said they hadn't heard it till then. So I don't know. I don't know what the Knack was doing between then. They might have run out of money and they just decided, let's cash in this lottery ticket. So they sued Run DMC. It was settled out of court. No other information. Basil never sued Run DMC directly, but she sued several companies that represented artists like Run DMC that sampled Mickey. Ultimately, a judge said, you get nothing. I don't hear anything. Stop complaining. So Tony Basil, all her suits did nothing. So the album Is Tricky Was on Raising Hell was one of the first rap albums to enter the mainstream and sell to listeners who weren't familiar with the rap genre. So kind of broke through a little bit. The album had, check this out, it had It's Tricky, My Adidas, Peter Piper, and of course Walk This Way, produced by Rick Rubin. And it helped that gave it a mass appeal, the Rick Rubin remix and all that stuff. So, but yeah, so It's Tricky. Number 4, I think it's one of the like top songs you could have from the 80s. So there were several. I also like We Be the Illin song's good.
Yeah.
Peter Piper's really good. Yeah. There were several I could choose, but every time I hear the opening of It's Tricky, it takes me back to being like, you know, that age and listening to it.
And they're one of those groups that if they weren't in here, we weren't doing our job.
Yeah.
They had to be in the top.
That would have been trash. Yeah. There's about 4 groups that have to be on the list.
Yeah. And
including
there's a couple
Easy
that
E.
haven't been in here yet. And I'm shocked. Got to be a number 1.
Rob says he's shocked.
Yeah. So. This is my number
3.
3. Here it goes.
You and Ice-T. I looked at this song too because I remember this a lot. My 3.
Right there.
Walking, psychopath talking. King
really
of
good.
the jungle, just a gangster stalking, living life like a firecracker,
quick as my fuse.
Been dead as a death, back the colors I choose, red or blue, cause of blood, it just don't matter. Sucker died for your life when my shotgun scatters. The gangs of LA will never die.
This is so good.
It's really good.
Multiply.
So I was between this and 6 in the Morning.
Yeah.
But I really like 6 in the Morning, but I like Colors. My 3 Ice-T songs are 6 in the Morning, Colors, and the new Jack Hustle. Those are
that's really good.
Those are my 3 Ice-T songs.
Yeah, so this is Colors by Ice-T. It's from the movie Colors, released in 88. In 2008, it was named the 19th greatest hip-hop song of all time by VH1. It was Ice-T's first song to chart on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. It peaked at number 70. I thought this was, I don't know. I didn't do my research to find who this gentleman is or this person is. But in 2021, gang scholar and sociology professor Stefano Bloch, a.k.a. Cisco,
good for him,
called Colors the greatest sociological text ever written on gang activity and identity.
It could be. It's really good. Yeah. And there's a lot of, he says a lot of cool stuff in that.
He does. Yeah.
That, right.
But I that was one that was exchanged amongst my friends was
Big time.
at the bus stop.
Colors.
This kid named Bobby that we knew,
Bobby
had all these. He was the guy that had these. I don't know how he got them.
Bobby was the hookup.
He was.
He had so many rap tapes.
Yeah. He was the guy.
And he would just gladly, you give him a blank tape and he'd just fill it up with stuff.
He was the first time I ever heard a Slick Rick.
Too Short,
and Too Short, all of those. Yep. And I was like, oh, I should not be listening to this.
It was my hookup.
But we would laugh.
You said he was our like, you know, like he passes it under the like in a newspaper.
We were literally at the bus stop, like
there you go,
transferring it in our coats because we knew that if our parents caught us, we'd be in so much trouble.
What is that? What, our parents wouldn't like Too Short and Easy E? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, the day my dad walked in and goes, oh, I kind of like this.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No, he'd be like,
let me make a copy of that.
Like, what is this?
All right, well, my number 3 going to be a repeat band and a repeat album, but just a different song.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
I love
and we putting it on wax. It's the new style. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And when I'm on the mic, the suckers run. Down with rockin' like 10, you ain't. And I got more juice than Picasso got pink. Got rhymes that are rough and rhymes that are slick. I'm not surprised you're on my D.
I love that. I'm not surprised you're on my D. And then I actually have a second sample here because I do want to get into the chorus because once again, the creativity of what they put into the chorus, which they like to do quite a bit, I think is worth hearing.
Oh, yeah. So much going on.
The turntable stuff, everything's great. I like the outro where it just goes.
Done.
It's like a kick drum or
I
something.
love it. Yeah.
So,
I love those
yeah,
guys.
so good. So, all right. So this is the new style by the Beastie Boys,
Mhm.
also off License to Ill. So I won't. But this is probably my favorite song off License to Ill.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Hold It Now, Hit It, really good too.
Yeah.
But I really like this. So, said before, didn't listen to this a lot. When it came out, I had to find it later. But you know, I just like the breaks in the song. The song sounds great. It wasn't one of their big singles, so it didn't chart a lot. So there's not a lot of information on it.
Mhm.
So in the Beastie Boys book, Mike D wrote that this song has a combination of scratches and beats that make the hook. He said they started making these songs that had no specific connection between the content of the verses and the choruses, and he guessed they accidentally did end up with a new style.
Oh,
So he said because a lot of times they'd rap out of rhythm with what they
Yeah.
were doing, and it like people were like, it sounds different and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, but they got the idea for the new style by freestyling with Run DMC.
Yeah.
Jam Master Jay would sample a track, but he kept the same track on a loop. The Beastie Boys took that idea, but then incorporated multiple loops, multiple samples, and that's how they got the sound for songs like this.
Yeah.
So
I like them.
So they
I like
said-
them a lot.
so they definitely said that Run DMC was part of the inspiration of how they got to their kind of unique sound.
License to Ill is one of those albums that when I get to Fight for Your Right, I skip it. It's it's too much.
I'm
But the
not a
rest
Fight
of
for
it,
Your Right.
start to finish, just
If
let
I'm-
it play.
If I
It's
kind of
really
don't
good.
hear Fight for Your Right again in my
okay.
life, I'm okay.
No.
There's so much better
Yeah.
on that song.
Yep.
I'm also not a big fan of Girls.
Yeah,
And the band also not a big fan
Yeah, they've
of
they've
Girls.
said that
They pretty
yeah,
much disavowed that
Yeah.
song all the way across the board. So,
they thought.
but I do think it's kind of a silly, dumb song. And I actually will say, not even because of lyrical content, which isn't great,
Mhm.
the beat and the sound of it is actually pretty, I don't know, it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Like it's not as creative as the rest of what's
Yeah.
on the album.
And that goes back to what you said. If anybody gets a chance to watch that documentary on
so good.
Apple, it's
Yeah.
really good.
So.
Number
2.
Oh, my number 2. Here we go.
They had to be on the countdown.
And this is one I like.
Interesting choice.
I know. There's a lot of songs on this album. And I remember, I don't know if it was the rock element that I liked about this song, but it was weird. It was a weird song, and I liked
thought
it.
for sure you'd go Fight the Power.
There's Fight the Power. There's
So
yeah.
yeah,
So
but they
this
had
is-
to be on. So
yeah.
at number 2, you've got Public Enemy.
I got Public Enemy. Yeah.
So
And this is She Watched Channel Zero. It's Public Enemy 88. It's from their album It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. It was released in June of 88. The album charted for 47 weeks on the U.S. Billboard 200. Peaked at number 42. It's certified platinum. The album has been regarded as one of the greatest and most influential albums of all time. Rolling Stone magazine, this is really cool. So on Rolling Stone magazine's 500 greatest albums list. In 2003, it was number 48. And at that time, it was the highest ranking of all hip-hop albums on the list and the only one acknowledged in the top 100. Then in 2020, it was number 15. So it's
really good.
yeah, they love it. And basically, the song is about a woman who is obsessed with watching soap operas on the TV 24/7. She's so obsessed with the guy on the tube, therefore she won't pay attention to her man. And I said earlier, I think this is fortuitous. Like they were, when you think about today's addiction to whether it's the online life and the world in the TV and the world on social media.
Yep.
And here's Chuck D back in 88 going, these people are so into the guy on the screen. She's not into the real guy. She thinks that's reality when
there's an argument to be made that Chuck D had a lot of observations in 88
yes,
and 89
that are
you
still
could go
pertinent
to
now.
today.
Yeah. So but no, Public Enemy, and this album is really good.
Yeah.
It's
okay. So
we could
perfect.
talk all day about Public Enemy. I like
so
them.
my number 2, also a Public Enemy.
Nice.
Had to.
Yeah.
Right. I would honestly say this is probably my second favorite rapper. Chuck D is my second favorite rapper behind Tupac. I love Chuck D. Just listening
his
to him
styles.
rap is amazing. His lyrics are amazing. Everything's amazing. But same album too, Rob. Takes a Nation of Millions. But different song.
They're claiming I'm a criminal, but now I wonder how.
Is this Don't Believe the Hype?
Never know.
Yeah.
The enemy could
Don't
be the
believe
Frank
the
Guardian.
hype.
I'm not a hooligan. I rock the party and clear all the madness. I'm not a racist. Preach to teach the all.
Oh, he's so good.
Number one.
You
They
silly
wanna run
rabbit.
about the gun. I wasn't licensed to have one. The minute they see
A public enemy.
Used, abused without clues. I refuse to blow a fuse. They even had it on the news. Don't believe the hype.
Yeah, that part right here.
Don't believe the hype.
Even the mix in the background with him is great.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of those
Chuck D
albums
is so smooth.
that my daughter and I were at a record store this last weekend, and we found a copy of Mad Season.
Oh, nice.
And I said, "You have to own this." She goes, "Well, I don't know what it is." I said, "You have to own this. You just listen to it and know it. You got to know it." And I think this is one of those albums that people, whether you like rap or you don't like rap, you have to know this album and you have to listen to it.
It's really good. So, well, as you said, this is "Don't Believe the Hype" by Public Enemy. I just love Public Enemy.
Yeah.
This is probably the first Public Enemy song I heard, which is why I chose this one. I've heard, I Fight the Power. All those are great, but this is just probably the first one I ever heard on a tape. So that's why I did it. So released in June of '88, never hit the Hot 100, top 20 on a couple R&B dance charts, but nothing too exciting. So I just like the remix and all that. But Public Enemy developed the beat on their own. They didn't sample anything. They made their own beats, made their own sounds. They were Chuck D was big on let's not sample a lot of stuff. The song was written as a response to the backlash the group received for their 1987 debut single, Public Enemy No. 1, particularly towards a New York DJ, Mr. Magic, who told the group, "The beat is dope, but the rapping is kind of weak." Good call, buddy. And on air, he said, "Let's not go through that no more. It ruins my program."
Oh,
nice. I don't know if Mr. Magic's got a show anymore, but yeah, I guarantee you, no more music by that dude.
Do you remember?
Oh, no. His last quote was, "I guarantee you, no more music by those suckers."
Oh, yeah.
So he said that on air. So Chuck D also said the song was inspired by a famous book by left-wing political commentator Noam Chomsky. If you read the lyrics, I'd say "Not Believing the Hype" also relates to the theme that young black men are dangerous or gangbangers, because the sample lyric is, "They claim that I'm a criminal. By now I wonder how. Some people never know. The enemy could be their friend, guardian. I'm not a hooligan."
Yeah.
So there's messages in there that just because I'm black, you automatically assume.
Right.
And so it's pretty layered. There's a lot going on there. And this is that transition I was talking about where you go from hip-hop, hibbity-hop, to now Chuck D rhyming about stuff like
political
this.
statement.
Political
Yeah,
in the late 80s.
Yep.
So
do you remember back before internet and all that stuff? But I remember. I think it was.
Remember.
I think it was an episode of The Simpsons, and after the Simpsons, they would debut a video. And if you waited, so like I remember when Black or White aired after an episode of The Simpsons, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And then we stayed up to wait for Public Enemy's
Can't Trust It.
It was Can't Trust It.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I pulled that up to listen to it. I forgot how great of a song that was.
It's a great song, but I remember we watched the video, and I think it opens with something about slave ships.
It's the whole thing's about slave ships.
And both of us were both like,
trade.
"Oh, okay." We were like 14 years old. We're like, "Oh, all right."
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah,
cool.
the whole thing was, But I just
the slave ships weren't cool.
The
song was so good. That whole album is really good too. Really good. So you can't go wrong. Fear of a Black Planet's really good. That you can't go wrong with Public Enemy. Bring it. You'll love it. Everything's great. So
I'm curious to know your number one.
We're at number one. We're at your number one.
My number one.
You want me to go first?
No, I'll go first.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. You don't want me to steal your thunder.
Nope, here we go.
Run DMC.
You must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
It's appropriate. Again, a rock element for you. Yep.
Got the right to vote, and we'll elect. And other rappers can't stand us, but give us respect.
Yeah, really good.
This is the oldest one on my list.
85?
85?
Nice. Yeah, definitely before it's tricky in them.
Yep.
Until they're a little more, it's a little more raw sounding. Because by the time you get to Walk This Way and some of those, they more produced them.
Yeah.
And these are just a little more.
Yeah. And this wasn't and they didn't sample any guitar. That was they had a guy in the studio that did.
What's his name?
I had it on. He's a guy. There's the thing. Yeah. This is King of Rock 1985, Run DMC. It bubbled under the Billboard Hot 100. It got to about 108. Never made the top 100. Its impact, however, was far greater than the mega chart, the meager chart position that it was on. The line, "It's not Michael Jackson and this is not Thriller," in the video coincides with the same time that they stomp on a Jackson's glove in the video.
Nice.
And they took some heat for that, for disrespecting Jackson, but they worked it out later. One of the quotes I found that said there was There was a power in Run DMC's raps that was undeniable and still reverberates 3.5 decades later. And I just said, name a better intro. I am the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MC should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must use fire. I won't stop rocking until I retire. And I said, "What?
You want to say those lyrics?
Such a great opening.
The lyrics are a great opening. I still think It's Tricky in general has a better opening.
But they were
so
really
catchy.
good at
That's really good.
an opening, just boom, and then
Boom.
some.
So-
For me, the opening line of that song is when I think of a hip hop rap song. I go back to, I am the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MCs.
It's great.
Should call me sire.
So,
there you go.
well, my number one, 2 parts. One, from my opinion, the best rap song I've ever heard. One, so that's pretty high praise. Right?
No joke.
2, from a group who I promise you had. Oh, by the way, this is a language check again. I promise you had no problem with the aggressiveness of the sexuality of girls in Los Angeles.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
NWA? No. Yeah.
Another fantastic opening.
Yeah, this is good. We only had one overlap.
One overlap. Bodies all hauled off.
That's good.
So this
That's a good playlist, dude.
literally probably my favorite. So this, okay, Straight Outta Compton, NWA. I don't know if any rap song, it's close. This and It's Tricky. The more I think about them, the opening. It's Tricky has such a catchy opening, but I remember the first time I heard this NWA song, I got the tape, I listened to it, literally blown away in my headphones. When he rolled in with crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube, I was like, what am I listening to? Like, I was like 11 and I wasn't prepared for that. No. Up to that point, I'd heard, again, Push It and stuff like that. And then
off to the principal's office.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I liken it to the first time I heard Appetite for Destruction and Nevermind. Those are my 3, like, I heard those and I was each time like, what? This is something I need in my life, right? So I just blown away. So first time I think I ever heard the N-word in my life used in a context that wasn't offensive.
Oh, right.
Because obviously I'd never heard a song where they were using it, and then you're thinking, oh, the black guys are using it.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard it up to that point.
Yeah.
So obviously that's just a thing now, but now it's part of rap. It's part of the lore. It is what it is. So, you can go down everything for this song. Grammy Hall of Fame. National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, aesthetically significant. First rap album to get a platinum certification. Rolling Stone has it at 248 of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Sinead O'Connor said it's definitely the best rap record she'd ever heard in her life. Straight Outta Compton is actually, this is interesting. Straight Outta Compton actually the B-side to Express Yourself. So it wasn't even the single they were trying to promote.
Oh, wow.
They sent this out, and a bunch of DJs said, I like the song on the other side better than Express Yourself. And it's not like Express Yourself was bad. They just did. But this song in NWA ushered in an entire new wave of rap that would dominate in the 90s. Ice-T part of that too, but I really think the West Coast gangster rap. And they made, it wasn't just music cool. Like, they made wearing Raiders gear cool. They made wearing sunglasses cool. They made getting hydraulics on a car cool. They made a 6'4" cool. I mean, they had all these, terms I'd never heard before about 5'0". I'd never heard cops being called 5'0". I'd never heard a 187. I'd never heard any of these things. So they just introduced us suburban kids to a whole new genre of what was going on. So song, obviously, as great as it is, and a great pop culture moment, influenced a lot of stuff. Controversial, obviously. Whole album. Criticized for glorifying the gangsta lifestyle. But Ice Cube has given several interviews. He insists these are that they are merely documentarians, like Chuck D had said. The reality is they're right. The problem is the things they were talking about certain parts of America, they just didn't want. They didn't want to hear about it.
Right. So
they found it offensive, and they just assumed because if it was aggressive and it was probably coming from people from the inner city that it was bad, right? But they couldn't stop it anyway. Yo MTV Raps refused to play the music video even after they cleaned it up, because the first one, they literally were in the back of a truck, if you've seen it, and they're shooting it while LAPD is doing a gang sweep in South Central. And Yo MTV Raps was like, we can't show that on national television. So you got to get us something else. They got them something else. They didn't like that either. So technically didn't have a video that went on MTV Raps.
Yeah.
So,
that's
but the
funny.
song still persevered regardless.
Yeah.
And I would say this is kind of like a signature moment for a lot of, not just me,
Mhm.
probably a lot of young suburban kids
Mhm.
heard NWA for the first time. And all of a sudden you're
Mhm.
like, this is like a whole new world. You know,
Mhm.
I've been listening to Chicago, and I've been listening to Michael Jackson. I've been listening to Prince, and I've been listening to Duran Duran. What all of a sudden is going on here? Like, this is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
And so, and obviously would push into the 90s where the Dr. Dre, Snoop Doggy Dogg, all of that would come out, Tupac, all that.
Yeah.
NWA would kind of be the forefathers
That's really good.
to push all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's something interesting there. You talked about, this song, they were documenting
their daily lives.
a lifestyle that,
Yeah.
and some of the best musical, checkpoints in history. It's when the music captured a generation or captured and that's,
well,
I think that's fair to say this brought light to
It does.
a culture that
people weren't paying attention to.
either didn't want to acknowledge or
I didn't know anything about it.
Or didn't know. And
When I first heard,
I didn't know that people were struggling like that.
Correct.
That, we had no idea.
when I first heard Straight Outta Compton, I'm like, what is Compton? I don't even know what that is.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you find out it's a city in California. Like,
Right.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then, but there's markers.
Yeah.
The Beatles kind of changed pop music and
Mhm.
became a thing. Led Zeppelin maybe rock in the 70s. And then you've got Nirvana, you can argue changing some version of rock in the 90s.
Mhm.
There's an argument that gets mixed up in there that NWA, Ice-T had been doing some of it, but NWA may have, like, that's the shift that got us to the gangster rap in the 90s, the rap battles with the East Coast, West Coast, all of these things. There's an argument to be made there. They're pretty significant in the arc. And I would say they changed a lot of kids' listening styles.
Yeah.
There were a lot of kids that were probably Def Leppard fans, all these kinds of fans, and heard this for the first time and went, oh, I like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah.
Right. So, and even Beastie Boys fans could have listened to this and gone, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
Like, I like
Yep.
this. So, but okay. So,
I love it.
well, those are our lists for our 80s rap, hip hop.
Yeah.
Did we miss any? We obviously missed a lot of things.
Missed a few.
Was there something you wanted to pick, just ran out of spots, or
No,
did you get pretty much everything you were looking for?
Yeah, I got everything.
So,
yeah.
well,
there was some I didn't put, like I said, that were just inappropriate.
Well, and again, we had The Message from Grandmaster Flash. That's a great rap song, but just before us, we didn't listen to it. Rapper's Delight, obviously, we've listened to that since then. So, but I did post on X and Facebook asking people to identify one essential 80s rap track. And we got quite a few responses. So I got 3 different people, friends of the show, Sean, Jeremy, and Brad. It's Tricky, which showed up on our countdown today. Another Facebook subscriber, I guess, or Facebook follower, Takes 2, Rob Bass, DJ Easy Rock.
Yeah.
Okay. Paid in Full came up multiple times by Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah.
So that was a big one. Fight for Your Right, Fight for Your Right, Beastie Boys came up. My friend Dustin. Hold It Now, Hit It from the Beastie Boys. It's funky enough. DOC, that came from Jim on Children of the 80s. I don't know.
I don't know it.
I've been listening to it. It's really good. I just had never heard it before. I wasn't a DOC guy. So Fight the Power, Public Enemy, Pop Culture 5 guys, podcast I listen to. And The Message, Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5. You can't go wrong with that. So we got quite a few. Only one of those we had on our list today, which was It's Tricky. And that had the most votes, by the way. But overall, a wide, and I would say probably some of these where you're hearing Eric B. and Rakim, big East Coast group who are very influential, just not a group I am familiar with. And we never got out on the West Coast too much. So
I had 2, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, but anything on License to Ill would have been tough to get in. And then Bring the Noise from
Bring the Noise was really good. I looked at that one multiple times.
That went in and out of my list a couple times.
I went over a couple different Eazy-E songs. I also had Buttermilk Biscuits at one point. We kind of sampled that a little bit. So I definitely went in. There were definitely some ones, but I think the 10 I got were the 10 I liked the most.
No,
so
I'm excited to put all of these together.
I had Colors on at one point, and I pulled it for 6 in the morning. So what are you gonna do in the morning? You gotta say this right. I just like that his friends told Ice-T. I just want to be there in the conversation. They're in the hood in Crenshaw, and they're like, yo, man, white people like you. You got to go out there and make that money. And he's like, all right, I will.
I'll do it.
And now, as we've joked before, he does Honey Nut Cheerios commercials for your heart health.
He does.
So,
and he was on Law and Order, or
that's
one of those.
6 in the morning eating my Honey Nut Cheerios. That's how that song will go now.
Yeah.
So, all right, fans, if you've loved today's episode, let us know. Follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, all the social media. You can drop us a comment with your favorite 80s rap song or any other 80s and 90s nostalgia you'd like us to cover. We also have a YouTube channel. Go over there. You can subscribe. You can see us on YouTube. I look real cool and hip today. I got a hat backwards. I'm invoking the vibe of this. It's just actually my hair was just a mess, and I rarely wear a hat, but here we are. So you can find any of these links in our show notes. Just Google 80s, 90s Recall, and we promise, just like the Sugarhill Gang, we won't stop and we won't quit.
Really good. All of us here at the Totally 80s and 90s Recall team want to remind you that you need to fight. 1, you need to fight the power. Number 2, you need to fight for your right to party. We also want to remind you that there will be no sleeping until we hit Brooklyn. But until then, just know that the Totally 80s and 90s Recall podcast is the perfect complement to your listening experience and the perfect antidote to modern life. Whether you're straight out of Compton, Milwaukee, Oregon, home of the Bing Cherry, or Yakima, Washington, the Palm Springs, Washington, visit Totally 80s 90s Recall at podbean.com. Have ideas for future episodes or comments about previous shows? Hit the rewind button and email your 80s 90s flashbacks to 80s 90s recall at gmail.com. Let the Totally 80s and 90s Recall team help you appreciate the present by indulging in a healthy dose of the good old days.
And if you think Rob is being funny, for those of you not familiar with Yakima, Washington,
it's actually called
the Palm Springs of Washington is a sign that you see when you enter the city.
It's a very prominent sign.
And for those of you that will never get near it, it is not the Palm Springs of anything. But there is someone who put that sign up, and it will be there for the rest of our life. And it's very false.
Yeah.
So, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Well, finally, you can help drive the show's visibility by giving us a 5-star rating, leaving us a review on Apple or Spotify. If you really love the show, don't be shy. Let us know. Our absolute favorite thing in the world is getting feedback and comments from our listeners. We love to interact, and we love to just feature your messages that you send us on future episodes so that we can talk about you and have some fun. All right. This beat is sick.
That's right.
Take a little ride on my disco stick. No, just kidding. That's in the 2000s. We can't talk about that today. So, well, Rob, do you have any closing thoughts?
I just have a statement. It said 80s rap, considered the golden age of hip hop, is important because it marked the formative years of a genre. The rap and hip hop of this time period laid the foundation for its future evolution by providing a platform for marginalized voices to express social and political commentary through music, often addressing issues like poverty, racism, and urban life, while also pioneering lyrical styles and techniques that continue to influence rap today. Overall, the rap and hip-hop music of the 1980s helped shape a distinct urban culture, influencing fashion, dance, and slang, and becoming a major cultural force beyond just music.
Beautiful.
There you go.
That's good. Great. That's a good conclusion.
That's very.
I appreciate it.
Sometimes we hit it.
Well, from Run DMC, Ice-T and the Beastie Boys to Public Enemy and NWA, rap evolved and started becoming popular in the 1980s. And as much fun as the golden age of rap was, we are at the end of this week's episode. It is sad. As we took a look back at our favorite rap songs of I said 1980s, but maybe the mid to late 1980s, as I said earlier. If you like today's musical choices and would like to hear all the songs in full, which I highly recommend, we've included links to Spotify, Apple, and Amazon playlists so you can get your groove on. You can bust her out real early, however you want to do these things in your life. This is the album. This is the playlist for that. Finally, a big shout out to you, our awesome listeners. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're a longtime subscriber, we can't thank you enough for hanging out and chilling with us this week. When you do shows like this, you got to use proper slang.
Chilling, no end.
Hopefully, we brought you an hour or so, some laughs and memories. And don't forget to listen to all new episodes of Totally 80s and 90s Recall every Tuesday.
What are we doing next time?
Oh, we are going in a complete opposite direction of this week's theme or title of the episode. We're going to look at our favorite 90s TV show theme songs.
Okay.
So we've been doing an 80s TV show theme songs with our friends at Children of the 80s
right,
podcast, but we're branching to the 90s. They don't talk about the 90s. Over there, they pretend that didn't happen. So they're just Children of the 80s.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going into the 90s because we love it, and that's where we live. So 90s TV show theme songs.
That works.
I was listening to a podcast today, very reputable podcast. They actually make money, and it's a whole thing. It's a movie podcast, and they're on a whole network, and they do all this. Yeah. And at the end, one of the hosts said, "No better decade in the 90s." To which the other host said, "Yep, music, movies, everything."
Yeah,
that's what we echo all the time.
There we go.
And so it's not just you and me, Rob. people really believe that.
That's right.
And they should.
I know.
So, all right. Well, you got anything else?
I got nothing else.
Fancy goodbye.
No fancy goodbye.
Well, we only had one song today crossover, so we're going to close out with that.
Okay. Good stuff, man.
Good stuff.
This is going to be on my ride to work tomorrow.
Mirror, mirror
On the
Should
wall.
be.
Tell me, mirror, what is wrong? Can it be my De La clothes or is it just
My De La Soul.
what I do ain't make believe? People say I sit and try, but when it comes to
Love it.
being De La, it's just me, myself, and